Pablo Cesate, and today I'll be talking about the top 10 facts about architecture during the Elizabeth era. Number 1, the Tudor style architecture. So during this time period, we made the transition of moving from medieval type architecture to Tudor type architecture. This was an architecture that usually used brown wood with white bricks. Most people mistake this for German architecture, but it's England architecture. Number 2, the chimney design. The chimney design throughout England and throughout its architecture history was a problem. It didn't provide people enough warmth, and it was just an overall problem. So people, or architects and engineers, designed a better chimney made out of stone and put it in wealthy people's houses and maybe some middle class people's houses, and it really helped people stay warm. Number 3, garden designs. During this time period, gardens were big, but only for the wealthy. During this time, since there were a lot of new houses, it allowed for a lot of these people to grow a garden in their backyard, and in some places they grow fruit, vegetables, and even in some places livestock. And they were a big part of architecture and housing over there. You could see that in a lot of buildings. Number 4, elevation and status. So you may be asking, what do we mean by elevation and status? In architecture, the more floors you had and the more buildings you had, and the bigger your house was, the more status and wealth you had. It's kind of like today, isn't it? So if someone had a 2-story house and someone had a 1-story house, the person with the 2-story house would basically be a higher status individual. Number 5, the symmetry and proportion. During this time period, a lot of architects and engineers decided to start using symmetry, and this basically led to them using geometry and algebra. You can see this in a lot of their buildings of gardens, fountains, and even houses. You can see the geometric shapes that were included in there. Number 6, water fountains. Over time, water fountains weren't as sophisticated as they are during that period, but during this period, they were able to advance in a lot of fields of engineering by making water pump and mixing in design as well with the fountains. A different type of design. Number 7, heating systems in Hampton Court Palace. Now this palace is actually a beauty of art. This is because the palace included 241 chimneys. Yes, you heard me right, 241. Each one being different and chiseled and designed differently. This palace included optional systems of taking baths with hot or cold running water, which was a luxury innovation back then. Number 8, advanced carpentry. Since the Tudor type homes were popular during that period, and they were mostly made out of stone, wood, and brick, carpentry started becoming a really big popular job for a lot of builders and even in some cases architects. These carpenters would either carve out the bones for a house, or basically they would carve out the interior walls of maybe like a high status individual. It offered a lot of new doors for a lot of people. Number 9, the glass. Again, due to the new type of Tudor type architecture or Elizabethan type style architecture, this allowed for advancement in glass. Glass was now being able to make in smaller and larger proportions, which allowed people to have a lot more affordable options for glass, which allowed them to maybe put in a piece or two in their house. And in addition to this, the more pieces of glass you had, the higher status individual you were. Number 10. Defensive features. One great example of this would be the Arundel Castle, built in 1545, and it was in use during the Elizabethan era. This castle had several defensive features, like being built on top of a hill, having very high walls, and having a lot of watchtowers. This made it a really secure palace, and it also had a garden slash courtyard in the middle, so the owner or person visiting could relax without having to worry about an intruder. These types of builds were popular all around Europe, and a lot of castles were made due to this to protect a lot of high status individuals, or at least give them a warning before something bad happens. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you have an amazing